Since July 1999, the plane crash that killed John F. Kennedy Jr. and his sister-in-law and his wife, his people have spent this time during his untimely death to gathering facts about what really happened, and the investigation leads many unbiased researchers to one conclusion, which is murder. And the murder is from a bomb that was placed aboard his aircraft. Now, their painstaking investigations reveal a massive cover up by the controlled national media. They expose the false statements and the lies that were fed to the pathetic and gullible American public, who only too gladly will swallow the blue pill and go back to sleep. So many of you just take in everything that the managed news and the disinformation networks give you because you think that it's truth. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you some of the raw, cold facts that other researchers have come up with. Contrary to what the puppet media claim, John F. Kennedy Jr. was a good, experienced pilot who always played it safe when operating his plane. This wasn't his first time on a plane. Visibility was good that day as he made his approach to Martha's Vineyard, his destination. Kennedy made contact with the airport at 9:39 p.m. and stated that everything was normal and that he was commencing his descent to the airport. And then seconds later, radar indicated his plane started making a nosedive into the ocean at 6,000 feet per minute. Kennedy's plane had autopilot, which meant simply that it was capable of flying itself. So what does that say to you? All a cautious and methodical pilot would have had to do was sit back and let the plane fly itself. At least 3 witnesses reported seeing an explosion in the sky at the same time, and in exactly that part of the sky where JFK's plane disappeared from radar. So the media was not allowed to get anywhere near the scene of the recovered wreckage, and no photographs were permitted of the recovered bodies. Now, this is, of course, according to the official spin. We don't know if that's the case or not. If you're covering up something, of course you don't want photographic evidence. Kennedy's emergency locator was removed, the cockpit recorder was disabled, and the flight's log was taken. Now add all of this to the strange and rushed autopsy. It was done in less than 4 hours. And then the weird request for cremation and burial at sea, obviously to dispose of all the evidence. And you have a powerful case for criminal conspiracy to cover up a crime scene. You know, and some of you may say that I'm on some type of CSI mission, but am I? You know, who would have killed JFK Jr.? Well, the same people that murdered his father, the international bankers, the shadow government, the one worlders, the Illuminati, the secret societies, those who will not hesitate to get rid of anyone who gets in their way to building this socialistic one world government. JFK Jr. was the only Kennedy to ever acknowledge a conspiracy in his father's death. He not only acknowledged it, he published an article by Oliver Stone in his magazine about assassination conspiracies and lying history books. He planned on turning his magazine, George, into a true political vehicle for change, for the American public, not for the New World Order. In fact, he had already begun the process by publishing factual exposés on George Wallace and the Rabin assassination. This alone is enough to have gotten him killed, by the way. But according to people close to JFK Jr., he was looking into who was behind his father's death. And according to him, he was convinced that because his father was about to pull the plug on any U.S. involvement in Vietnam, the people who run the international war machine and get rich off of it assassinated him. Now, I'm told by a very reliable source that George magazine, JFK's magazine called George, wasn't named after George Washington. It was actually named after George Bush. and that it was part of his plans to expose the Bush administration as well. So apparently, he was in the process of documenting and proving with facts that these hidden forces, along with the international bankers and their operatives, the CIA, were responsible for the foul acts against his father and his uncle, Robert F. Kennedy. Facts such as the October 11, 1963, JFK signed National Security Memorandum number 263, which ordered 1,000 American advisors home from Vietnam by December 25, 1963, and that the remainder of the U.S. military be withdrawn by 1965. The day after Kennedy's funeral on November 26, 1963, Lyndon Johnson signed a National Security Resolution number 273, which completely reversed Kennedy's plan for a withdrawal from Vietnam. Then Johnson fraudulently used the Gulf of Tonkin Agreement, the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, as a blank check to fund the massive military buildup in Vietnam, an agreement Johnson apparently made with the CIA in exchange for them taking out Kennedy and handing the presidency to him. JFK Jr. was intending to publish these details in his magazine, George. Several investigators have asserted that JFK was planning to announce that he was also running for president as a traditional Democrat, or even possibly as a third party or independent candidate in the 2000 election. This incident represents just another nail that was driven into his coffin, and it was driven into the coffin of the Free Republic of the United States of America. Because it appears that neither JFK, RFK, or JFK Jr. would do the bidding of the secret government ruling the U.S. None of them wanted to play the game. So these shadowy figures behind the scenes, who include Grand Masters, which is a reference to those who are at the top of the Freemason chain, and the secret societies as well, and the money changers, which are the international bankers. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank system is owned and operated by major banking families. So these private individuals and their families own and print U.S. currency for their own power, their own profit, and their own gain. And they maintain the federal government in a state of bondage to them through their corrupt system of loans and credits and the creation of the national debt. So the modern banking system is a fraudulent system wherein the bankers create money out of thin air and then charge the government and the people interest on something that was created with the stroke of a pen. Who authorizes them to do this? The government that they control.